Hey guys, Zach here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic Park Dinosaurs Pteranodon. Now, this figure was released in 1999 to promote the recently released Jurassic Park The Ride at Universal Studios, and I think that this line of figures was only exclusive to Universal Studios. However, I do believe that this figure was available at Walmart as well, so I'm not 100% sure of where you could, get these figures, at the time. I mean, now you could just get them on eBay, but at the time, I don't know where they retailed. I'm not too sure, but yeah. Anyway, let's take a closer look at this, starting off with the paint. And the paint on this figure is actually pretty good. In case you don't know, this is actually a repaint of an existing figure that I do not own, which was actually released for the original Jurassic Park toy line. That original figure was gray and white, and it had a blue head with red eyes, and this figure is just green with purple and gray underneath and all that, so yeah. Let's take a closer look. So, the head is painted green with white eyes and a black pupil. The inside of the mouth is the same color as the feet and most of the back, and most of the back is like this kind of like reddish brownish color, or almost purplish. I don't know what you would call this, but yeah, that's that. And there is airbrushing up on top of the wing here, which looks very nice. And no paint for the toe claws, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, also the GP logo right here is painted black. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it for the paint on this figure. I'll be honest, it's not as good as the original, but I still like the paint on this figure. It's still pretty good. Now I'll take a look at the articulation, and the articulation on this figure is decent. So, the outer wings are, loose, and so are these wings. But that's only for the gimmick, but we'll take a look at that in a second. The legs can move about backwards that much and forwards this much. The mouth can open, but it can't stay open. It kind of has this snapping feature. And if you push this button here, then you could get this figure to flap its wings. And that's why the wings are very loose on this figure, so you could get that done. And yeah, that works okay. Head on. This one still flaps and whatnot, but this one kind of gets stuck. So yeah, that doesn't look perfect, but for the most part, the articulation on this figure is decent, so it gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the sculpt on this figure, and the sculpt on this figure is actually pretty good. I mean, there are some minor things I don't like. I think the feet look a little bit too, chaotic, if that makes sense. They're just, spread out, and I get why they're like this, so, you could, have it, grab figures and, fly away with them, but that still looks a little, to me. I think the wings look a little bit, maybe a little bit, too, comic book-esque, if that makes sense. It doesn't look bad, but it's still kind of, cartoonish. It still looks nice, and it looks, somewhat realistic, but, yeah, I don't know if that's just me, or this might, alright, maybe cartoonish isn't really the best word. Maybe, kind of old-fashioned, if that makes sense. The wings are almost like a pteranodon from a movie from the 30s, if that makes sense. But yeah. Other than that, the sculpt on this figure is pretty good. So the sculpt on this figure gets a pass. Now I'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure is actually pretty good. So taking a look at the head, we have really nice looking scales all over the head. The nostrils are detailed very nicely as well. And the inside of the mouth is detailed fairly nicely, except for this seam line, which I don't really like, but other than that, it still looks pretty nice. The underside has a lot of wrinkles right here and a lot of scales, which look very nice, as well as the neck here. The arm here is detailed fairly nicely. It's not perfect, but it still looks nice, with some creases and actually some veins on the wings here, which do look a little weird. So, yeah. But on the outer side of the wings, we have some more creases, which look nice. And, yeah. More scales on the back which look nice, and the tail is nicely detailed as well. And the legs are detailed alright. I think the scales on this figure are a little bit too big, but it still works. Also, the feet on the detailing, I almost said. The detailing on the feet looks okay as well, but yeah. Bottom line, the detailing on this figure is okay. Nothing spectacular, it's just okay, so it gets a pass. And at the end of the day, should you get this figure, I would recommend the original figure. I wouldn't get this. I would get the original 1993 Pteranodon. If you want to get this figure would cost you about 15 bucks. I believe I paid only $1 for this because I got this at a flea market. And if you were to buy this complete, because this figure actually does come with accessories. This figure does come with like two like smaller Pteranodon figures that are just the same color as his legs here, with like a white spot, and there are two of them. And the mold for those minifigures are actually the same ones from the Pteranodon that comes with Nick Van Owen from The Lost World, so yeah. In box, this figure is actually pretty expensive. Actually, I think the last one I saw in box was like 50 bucks, which isn't bad, but if you want to get this thing loose, it would cost you around like $15.99, so like 16 bucks, which I'd say is a bit much considering that you can get the original figure for 4 bucks on eBay, but then again, if you want this figure and you really like Pteranodons, then I would say definitely go for this, but yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big this figure is, here he is next to Dr. Billy Grant, and I'd say they scale up okay together. I mean, obviously, Dr. Billy Grant isn't like an original Kenner human figure, but they still scale up somewhat nicely together, so yeah. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zach out.